Yo guys, Beast back with more Beastie content. So first things first, we are going to be going ahead and doing our 1500 caps withdrawal from the ATM. And then we're going to go hit up the bank. And then we're going to get on into this build because we are going to need the caps. That is right. I do believe this is like 30k caps all in. I did end up going back and touching up on the Croup Manor bank build and adding some more safes when I did finish this one. Just so I can say I spent over 30k caps on this build. So let's go. Without further ado, let's get on into this. So this is going to be the underground area of Croup Manor Bank, aka Fallon's Bank now. We're going to turn this into what ends up being a vault / institute laboratory sort of setup. It cost me over 30k caps in the end to build this. That is right, that is how many safes that are in this area. I do plan on doing more bank builds with a little bit more of a ludicrous number of caps spent. I also want to see what sort of settlements I can build. I'm working on some apartment builds. I have all sorts of videos planned. I have some that are literally sitting in the editor and just need voice added to them. But we'll see where we go. Here we go. So as you can see here, first things first, as you see, I actually dropped down a floor, which caused a little bit of just so many different bugs, which you will see throughout this video, of it just popping me back up on the floor above it for some reason, if there was any sort of structural integrity of whatsoever. And even after I finished the build, the bottom lab area, there are spots of it where it will cause your character to like skip forward and go to a different area, but it's not much of a skip, it's just a slight skip. It's really weird, but it doesn't put me on top or outside of, you know, where I want to be or anything. You will see multiple times of me just jumping off this little floating space area that you do get once you do start taking out primary walls of these interior areas. So I wanted to see how far down I could go. It would only let me go down one. I guess that was just the build limit, which was disheartening. I was wanting to do an entirely different sort of idea here. I wanted to build kind of like, if you've ever played Fallout 76, and I'm sure some of you have, if you've ever played Fallout 76 with like the vault they go into, I'm not going to spoil it too much, but they go into a vault, and if you played it, you know what vault I'm talking about. And there's a lot of gold involved. There's ghouls involved, and I think that's about all I can tell you. But I wanted to do something about that line. If you know what vault I'm talking about, it's part of one of the new main stories that have like NPCs and stuff. I think it's like you can choose between the raiders and the settlers. That story's ending area. I wanted to go with that sort of vibe, but we ended up just not able to go past that little first floor extra area. So it really limited us on how much we could actually do here. There's also a limit on how far out you can build away from this thing. I do believe it was like 10 floor pieces in total that were just like the entire bottom half. We did get a substantially larger size room than we were going to have if we just left the floors as they were, which I am actually very happy with that. I was just going to be an underground bank area, vaults for the bank, and the bank was just going to have a little bit better security to get down here. But this is what we ended up doing. As you can see here, we ran institute walls, and as you've been seeing, we've been running institute walls throughout here to cover up any of the wooden looking areas. Because we don't really want the look of the old place to be there. And as you can see, we even use concrete floor or concrete ceiling pieces just to make so it's the most vibe fitting as appropriately possible. And as you can see, this corpse here, which I've now started doing a thing in my builds, and you'll see that, well, I don't know if I'll show it in video, but I go into the command and I disable those corpses, and I should have done that when I built this, but I didn't really think of it, so it's just kind of stuck there. If I would have disabled that, that would have allowed me to have a little bit more creative freedom with this bottom half area than I did. We did have to block out any things that just looked completely out of the ordinary, or a hanging corpse and things like that. And from now on, I am just going to disable the corpses there, so I don't have to have them hanging there down from the ceiling like that and blocked off behind a wall somewhere. But it gives the place like a whole new meaning. But yeah, it's the institute. That's all I gotta say. So yeah, down here is the laboratory area. And as you can see here, this is just me mainly testing the bounds. As you can see, the white area of flooring up top, that is the farthest reach you can go and actually get a block to place up here. And as you can see here also, we kept glitching on top, which jump off and eventually you'll respawn at the door and you'll be good to go. I will leave a link down below to this mod that allows you to build into this little room here. You won't be able to do as much as me unless you have the scrap everything mod, but if you have those two mods, you should be able to come up with something similar to mine, or maybe a completely different idea. It's really all up to y'all guys, but this is what I ended up doing with this. I think it fits very well for what my Croup Manor is, which is a bank, so of course there should be a bank here. I thought about playing around with like a more official guard area here. I don't know if it's showing here or not yet, but I ended up trying to put down like an official bank person here, and for some reason, because it still labels this area, it's labeled as a completely different settlement, but they're both titled Croup Manor, and I think the bank mod just doesn't want to accept that they're two different locations. I thought about downloading a settlement mod where you could customize the names of your settlements, but I have not done so. But anyway, as you can see here, this was just the bank safe area. We filled this whole room full of bank safes. One thing I did think about working on, like I said earlier, was a guard station. This was an attempt of making it a bank vendor, but as I said before, Croup Manor is the same name for this underground area when you install this mod as Croup Manor. So the bank mod gets confused, I do believe, and refuses to function. And if you notice my carry rate, once again, I do not get these resources legitimately. I do way too many builds, but my caps are 100% legit. That is the only thing I add is resources for crafting, because I just don't feel like that's never going to be possible. Any of these crazy builds, none of this is going to be possible unless I'm just adding the resources in. But as you can see here, I mean, it would be to some degree, but not within a reasonable amount of time. But as you can see here, this ended up not working. Like I said, Croup Manor does not work as Croup Manor the second. So I kind of want to install a settlement rename mod and see if it'll work and see then. But for now, this is just what we have here. We may do something else with this little underground area in the future. Technically, there is the above area that's like outside of the first floor. It had some extra institute floors space available that we could probably do like another floor to if we really wanted to, maybe even a hidden door or something. I would like to play with hidden door stuff a little bit coming soon enough, because this is an institute laboratory with a safe room here, and as you can see here, we should get through with the safe doing in a minute, and then we should get back to the institute. And I thought about putting safes here on the outer walls, but I ended up not doing it in the video. I still debate on it, honestly, just for aesthetics and adding more safes to this bank. I do eventually want to go through and rob the banks, and I'm building different banks. I have built the Fallon's Bank, and then I have a ton of just little banks that are just part of settlements that aren't the primary thing of the settlement, that are also existent throughout the Commonwealth, and I do plan on doing a video over that, at least in the showcase of the mod itself. I think the showcase of the mod itself will do that. As you can see here, this was just the wiring. I said earlier, this was the top area that I did have space on, but I do have wires on it, so I might not want to take that away from me. He's self-thinking about it. So I think we'll just leave this area as it is. This is a pretty full area as it is already. It used to just be a single room, and now it's an entire laboratory and a safe. The things you can do just by being able to delete some of the core assets in the game when it comes to the workshop is actually very, very cool. There's no way you could do this without mods. But as you can, I mean, sure there might be, but you still have to install a mod to build in this area to begin with. So I mean, at that point, you're using mods to build this to begin with. You're building here. But as you can see here, we did decorate this a little bit, trying to look like the Institute. We used some vault stuff, but mainly Institute stuff. We used a lot of those little floating aliens and all sorts of other creatures being in like test tubes and stuff, and then like an Institute counter here, and then like a couple cryopods. Which start out open for some reason, but when you get in them, you can just like, you end up leaning forward and popping out of them. I really don't know what's going on with those one bit. But yeah, we also put down like the necessary things. First of all, there's food synthesizers down here. There is a power armor station. There is a weapons workbench, as well as an armor's workbench. So you are taken care of here when it comes to all of that. That was taken care of. We didn't decorate this place too heavy, but I do believe this is all. I am out. See you. Keep it peace tomorrow.